Hello, this video is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon and my members on YouTube. Minasan, arigatou gozaimasu. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily good life meditation. It's something that I do each and every morning, a little bit after waking up. Today is the 15th day of December 2023, and it's 5:55 a.m. I do this to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone, which you can find a link to down in the description. I also use the time to reflect on the last 24 hours to check how I did with the various challenges and opportunities that I met, find ways to improve and tune my life relative to my objectives and principles. I use the time as well to think about the coming day, to plan for what I'm going to do, how I'll live this day, and then ready myself to die. Sounds very sober, doesn't it? But it's an important thing, standing ready to for death every day to make sure that I have things square in order. I was going to say my parachute is packed, but I don't think there'll be any soft landing for any of us. So that's what I do. That's what this video is all about. But before I do any of that, I'd like to read a poem, and I'm going to do again. This must be the 6th or 7th day in a row that I've been reading this one poem by Edward Thomas called May 23. I really like it, and I want to get a good, clear reading out. So let me try again. It's a story about the season of May, the month of May, but really it's about the season of spring, the settling in of spring, and the passing through of an old man, Jack Noman. May 23. There never was a finer day, and never will... Try again. May 23. There never was a finer day, and never will be while May is May, the third and not the last of its kind. But though fair and clear, the two behind seemed pursued by tempest overpast, and the morrow, with fear that it could not last, was spoiled. Today, ere the stones were warm, 5 minutes of thunderstorm dashed it with rain, as if to secure by one tear its beauty, the luck to endure. At midday then, along the lane, old Jack Noman appeared again, jaunty and old, crooked and tall, and stopped and grinned at me over the wall, with a cowslip bunch in his buttonhole and one in his cap. Who could say if his roll came from flints in the road, the weather, or ale? He was welcome as the nightingale. Not an hour of the sun had been wasted on Jack. "I've got my Indian complexion back," said he. He was tanned like a harvester, like his short clay pipe, like the leaf and burr that clung to his coat from last night's bed, like the ploughland crumbled red. Fairer flowers were none on the earth than his cowslips wet with the dew of their birth, or fresher leaves than the cress in his basket. "Where did they come from, Jack?" "Don't ask it, and you'll be told no lies." "Very well, then I can't buy." "I don't want to sell. Take them, and these flowers too, free. Perhaps you have something to give me?" "Wait till next time. The better the day. The Lord couldn't make a better, I say." "If he could, he never has done." So off went Jack with his roll, walk, run, leaving his cresses from Oakshott Rill and his cowslips from Wheatham Hill. 'Twas the first day that the midges bit, but though they bit me, I was glad of it. Of the dust in my face, too, I was glad. Spring could do nothing to make me sad. Bluebills hid all the ruts in the copse. The elm seeds lay in the road like hops. That fine day, May the 23rd, the day Jack Noman disappeared. got it. Hooray. It took a number of passes to get the language just right. Edward Thomas is, for me, a very difficult poet to read aloud. His poetry is very difficult to read aloud. It's like a puzzle to unpiece it, to say the words right, to get the if there's dialogue, to get the dialogue just so. I got it. Happy day. It's not the same feeling of understanding a poem. When that hits me, that's like, well, it's like ecstasy, that type of ecstasy, yeah. This is different. This is just pleasure. This is just the delight of, the childish delight of successfully completing a puzzle. So off we go. First last night and yesterday. I slept all right last night. I think I might be coming down with something. I almost took the afternoon off yesterday. I could feel it coming on. I should have done that. I didn't. But I've got the day off today. So I will do a couple of things. Well, I don't have a lot I have to do. I have to do my normal morning routine. I'll work a little bit on YouTube titles. I'll work on shorts. I'm learning how to do shorts, recycling all my old content from YouTube. Boy, I've got a lot too, into short clips, seeding YouTube, preparing my channel for my return to Japan, where Yumiko and I will become YouTubers in earnest together. It's going to be fun. We've got plans. And it's a good thing for us to talk about, too. We're both a little bit anxious and scared about 2024. Very anxious and scared, actually. In fact, we talked about it last night. I'm surprised to hear that she's feeling the same anxiety that I have. And we talked about why we didn't feel that when we were younger. In the past, what has it been, 4 times that we've switched countries previously. We just did it. We just ripped the bandage off every time, even with a child in tow twice. Idiots. I mean, I'm not saying that what we did was stupid. It worked out. But it was, boy, it was dangerous. But was it really? That's a relative thing. Coming to America was risky. This last time. That was the dangerous one. Man, that's why I'm so scared to go back again. Because I figured it out. The reason that I'm so anxious about going back now is because of the hindsight that I have now about the risk of coming to America in 2014. 2013-14, it was a 14-month affair. That was a ginormous. I mean, I should have been fired from my job. I really didn't know what I was doing when I came back. I kind of talked my way into getting a job as a business systems analyst too. I wasn't a project manager then. I didn't even know what a business systems analyst really did. I'd never been one. I had worked in IT. I was qualified to that extent, and I had met the criteria that had been laid out for me for the job, and I had passed the interviews. So I guess I could say that I did it that way. But I remember that. I remember it was about 2 or 3 months in, I was fired from my first project, so to speak. Not fired from my job, but fired from my first project. I was trusted that I knew what I was doing, and I very quickly demonstrated that I didn't. It really was a project. I was hired as an analyst, and I really never really did much analyst work. I do more analyst work now than ever before, and I really like it. And I think I've gotten good at it. I certainly now understand the distinction, and I can certainly now do the BSA work, and I can do the project management work, but it took me a decade to get here, and I really wasn't even proficient at it until about 3 years in. So for about that first 3 years, especially that first year, I was a probationary employee, right? I couldn't be let go I was at will, so to speak. I know most employees are at will, but in where I work, that's, you kind of get a tenure of sort after a year. They can still fire you, but it's harder. That was a huge wake up to me. It was about, I think I said, like I said, it was like 2 months in, a little maybe around it, around there. And I remember going to that meeting with the stakeholder, the sponsor, sorry, who might actually see this video. That person, hi, thank you for not firing me. That person is now among my social connections. Gratefully so. I do appreciate that person for many reasons. And that person wasn't the one that would probably have fired me. It was someone else who gave me another chance. And boy, did I latch onto it. I realized the close call that I had. And it disappeared. I went below the surface for about 3 to 5 years. I mean, I would go out into the desert to poke around like I started to do. This is long before going alone. But my was serious. That was a close call. That person that I'm referring to, and I would not have held it against that person had they fired me. I would have probably, in hindsight, even to this day, thought, yeah, you did the right thing. I wasn't qualified. But as soon as I realized how close the close call I'd had with that, I like I said, I went underwater, so to speak, at work, and I made myself qualified. I did everything I could. I climbed the mountain to save myself from that risk. And I remember, I don't think I've ever told this anyone, ever said this on any videos or social media. When the 1 year probationary period was up, I came back that day, and it was a big day for it because it had been on my mind. And by the way, just to let you know, that person, a particular person, is not afraid to fire people. And like I said, I respect that choice. That person is from an environment, the same environment that I was from, where excellence is demanded, and incompetence and anything less than ambition is not tolerated. That's the world I come from. My problem was that I didn't have the skills. That was my problem. I had to climb it. And I think they saw that I was trying, because I really was trying. And at the end of that year, the anniversary of my hire, which would have been February 23rd, 2015. February 23rd, 2015. I came back to my desk after lunch. Came to my little cube. I remember that cube back by the door. I gotta get a gulp remembering this. I was so scared. I'm not telling you why I was so scared. Why I was so scared. Getting fired would have been a huge, big deal at that point. My family was back in Japan, relying on my income for their support. We didn't have savings. We'd burned through it all trying to make. Well, first of all, I'd burned through everything, losing everything in the great collapse of 2008. You'd think, oh yeah, Kurt, you have plenty of time to recover. No, I never really recovered. We lost everything. I had a wife and a daughter, and going to an expensive private school in Japan, and my wife working a job, but certainly not able enough to support the family. She was working at that point. If I had been fired, we didn't have anything to fall back on. What the hell would have happened? I mean, okay, we would have made it. We wouldn't have starved on the streets. Yumiko and I are both ambitious people, but I get just goosebumps just remembering that, this fear. So I came back from my desk. I get to my desk after lunch, stepped to the computer, and right there on the thing on front of my keyboard was a pink piece of paper, pink slip. it was the last day. It was the day before, actually. I think it was, or maybe it was that day. It was the last day I could be fired for cause, well, without fired for will, right? And it was that person. I opened it, and it said, "Congratulations, you made the year." It was from that person. "Congratulations, you made the year." And just as that person would do, I wouldn't expect anything other. I was then told, "Now you're subject to other means and mechanism," basically telling me that the threat of being fired had been hanging over my head the whole time. "Now you're subject to other mechanisms of discipline and correction. Be prepared," in so many words. And I was grateful. Gulp. Grateful that I'd made the year, and grateful that I was still to be held to account, because I've never in my whole career ever been one that could ride on my rest or lazy. I am not. Anybody that's ever worked with me knows that I drive myself harder than any boss could ever drive me, and I continue that way to this day. Even though I'm down to, as of tomorrow, it'll be a year. Yeah, 1 year out before I'm finished with work. What an interesting thing to have this conversation at this mark. But I made it. I made it that year, and I resolved that I was going to get myself, keep going the way, and become the best, be it business systems analyst / project manager that I could be. And I kept driving at that for the last 9 years ever since. And I'm at the top of my game now. And it's a funny thing. I feel sometimes like it's a strange thing to then be thinking about retiring when I've finally got this figured out. And I get inquiries to apply for jobs frequently, so headhunters, etc. Maybe I'll keep it up in some capacity after I go back to Japan, doing a consultant work or something like that. It would be a shame to let these skills, go. It would be nice to keep my resume current. Not that I want to work anymore, but it would be nice to. I've been scared, and it would be nice to keep my capabilities up. It's like if we ever, like when we go back to Japan, we're going to make sure that Yumiko's green card doesn't expire. Because every time we've made this big transition, we've always let our certifications, our green cards, our permanent our residency cards, our driver's license, we just let all that expire and start over again. Not anymore. We'll go back this time. We'll do whatever it takes to keep Yumiko's green card current, keep our driver's license current, etc., etc. Not gonna let all that stuff lapse again. Let's wrap this up. So, the reason that I'm so scared right now of 2024, now that I've had this talk with myself, is because I remember so well how frightened I was in 2014 and 15 and 16 and 17. And maybe it was about 2018 that I finally started to loosen up from the experience of bringing my family across this last time. Which is a strange, funny thing, because the risk is largely gone, right? I mean, I don't have a child to support anymore. Emily's going to have her degree, and she'll have a job and her own life. I don't have to worry about sustenance anymore. Yumiko and I will have our retirement income and pension and our savings. We're safe, so to speak. I mean, I do have to worry about, health, etc., and mental well-being, etc. Yeah, I am worried about that too, right? I'm worried about what I'm worried about what I'm gonna do with free time. Genuinely concerned. I don't know that I've tried this once before. I took a year off from work once before and failed at it utterly. Led to a deep depression. I learned that I was not prepared for not having work. Work sustains me. It's what I do. It's what I am. I hate it. I hate that. That's the fact. Yesterday I was mulling around, and it was like, God, I can't believe I've spent 40 years of my life, 39 if I take that 1 year I took off, 40 years of my life, at the coal face. Just now I'm going to be free, and my health is probably going to begin to fail. What a waste. It's the way, it's the paradigm that I was born into. So anyway, a lot all kinds of stuff. I think now I understand why I'm afraid of 2024, even if it's more irrational. We'll just let that sit right there. Yesterday was a day of thinking about those thoughts and walking with Yumiko and talking with her about them as well. She's feeling the same way, and she told me that we didn't feel that way previously because we were too ignorant and stupid to realize how the risk we are taking. And now we are. Now we know better, and she's nervous too. So we'll make it. It's a one-way street, in fact. The only alternative is to stay here. And stay here isn't what either of us want to do. Besides, our daughter's leaving. She's going back there anyway, so we're going to go too. You're going too, dogs. The Good Life Creed. 8 objectives, 35 principles, as follows. The objectives are to be always ready to die, to make good and effective use of time, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, to cultivate good emotional reactions, to perform good actions, to recognize true limits and true opportunity, to do just one thing at a time and do the thing slowly and deliberately and carefully, and to keep my balance. The 35 principles now are war, reason, homunculus, anchor hold, home of good and evil, purpose, atomic principle, principle of nature, the pirate ride, maturity, social principle, principle of family, public speaking, temperance, life will not go well, the horror show, that which must be born, the feast of offal, distraction, agency and the great indifference, the best seat in the house, the restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, the risk of avoiding risk, sin and damnation, complete oblivion, the season of philosophy, script writing, the bullseye aim, the uphill climb, arena and utility, nothing is enough, the principle of fun, and being prepared. Wow, my mind seems clear today. Those just slid right out like snow sliding off a roof. As for today, like I said, I'm off today. Oh, I do have one thing that's happening. Having a meeting at, I think it's 9 o'clock. Somebody reached out to me about artificial intelligence. They have, I guess they have some sort of business venture that they want to do, and they're looking for a front man, so to speak, a talker. So this is the second time this happened. This happened about 5 years ago, maybe it was more than that, 6 years ago. Somebody, an engineer, a developer, reached out to me. They had a software product, and they wanted someone that could be the face of the company. We actually met, and they demonstrated the product for me. They told me the same thing that this other person that reached out to me said that I'm going to meet with today. They said, I'm good technical. I've got they're good technical. They've got engineering skills, but they're not good communicators, and they need to partner with a good communicator to represent whatever this is, this interest that they're doing. The other one was a software application that was being developed. I turned that down. Why did I turn it down? Very simply, because of everything I've just been talking about for the last 20 minutes. I needed to focus on my career so that I didn't drop the ball on supporting my family, and I knew that I couldn't juggle two things like that. I did juggle things like a driving instructor. That was mediocre stuff. I mean, I didn't really, that was more like stuff on the weekends. It's like going to the beach. I didn't really, but taking on a second career type of thing would have been too much. So, but the timing might be right. I don't know. I'll find out. I'm having a meeting with that person at 9 o'clock to find out what this is all about. We'll see. That might be fun. Am I ready to die? Are my affairs in order? Yes. Are my relationships sound? Yes. Is my life's work complete? Yes. I can go at it any moment. I like to think without a single backwards glance. Now, it's time to wrap up, and I do have a little tickle in my back of my throat. I may be coming down with something, but I'm going to take it easier today. I will go to the beach. I plan to spend a lot of time at the beach today if I'm not feeling sick, if I don't start to feel sicker. And I'm going to work on shorts and also various and sundries other things, and have that meeting, and charge the bike, and maybe take the bike for a ride. I got a lot I'm going to do. Better get started. Be safe, but not too safe. Take care. I will move forward and up. I will rarely stop, and I will never